Hello and welcome once again to Bread of Life, a daily devotional program which each week features a different area pastor. Our speaker for this week is Pastor Jared Eaton of West Haven.
Shalom, friends. This is Jared Eaton from Joy of Israel Messianic Jewish Congregation in West Haven. I'd like to welcome you back to this series on Jesus from a Jewish perspective, where we look at some familiar stories from the Gospels from a Jewish point of view and gain a new perspective and understanding of them. In chapter 9 of the book of John, we read about Jesus healing a man who was born blind. Jesus spits on the ground, makes some mud with his saliva, and applies it to the man's eyes, curing his blindness in an incredible miracle. Why did Jesus heal this man in such an unusual way? While Jesus' methods may seem random and mysterious to us today, he had a very specific reason for doing what he did, and he knew that his actions would be fully understood by the Jews who witnessed them. The key to understanding this story is in the context of Jesus' conflict with the Pharisees, namely his conflict about their elevation of the oral traditions over the Torah, and his conflict with the Pharisees over his identity as the Son of God. Let's start with the traditions of men. The traditions were so comprehensive that they even regulate where you can spit. In the Talmud, there is a rule that if you are walking about on the Sabbath and you have to spit, you need to wait until you come upon a rock or a tree to do your business. Because if you spit on the ground, your saliva would mix with the dust and form clay. And making clay on Shabbat is strictly forbidden. Jesus would have known this, and he intentionally made clay to highlight how skewed the Pharisees' priorities were. Because he knew they would be more concerned about him spitting on the ground than on the fact that he had healed a man blind from birth. Jesus could have healed this man in any number of ways, but he intentionally chose a way that would demonstrate that it was the Pharisees who were truly blind. But Jesus is doing more than simply thumbing his nose at the Pharisees. Recall that this is not the only occasion that Jesus used his saliva to heal. In Mark chapter 8, Jesus spits on a blind man's eyes and restores his sight. And in chapter 7, he heals a deaf and mute man by spitting. Putting spit in someone's eyes may sound disgusting, but according to Jewish tradition, by using his spit, Jesus is making a powerful statement about his identity. Just a few verses earlier in the book of John, Jesus is speaking with the Pharisees, and he tells them, "I witness for myself, and the Father who sent me bears witness for me." Then they said to him, "Where is your Father?" In the Pharisees' eyes, Jesus was born of sin and scandal. He doesn't even have a father. How can he be who he says he is? Illegitimacy was a big deal in biblical times. Occasionally, one son would contest the claims of another as to who was the genuine heir. Jewish tradition in the Second Temple period taught that God had a test that would supernaturally reveal who was the legitimate firstborn son. The Talmud records a case in which two men come before a rabbi to settle a dispute for which of them was the firstborn son of their father. The rabbi brings them to a blind man. He tells the first son, "Spit in this man's eyes." He does so and nothing happens. Then he tells the other son to do the same. He spits in the blind man's eyes, and something miraculous happens. The man's vision is restored. The two men are astonished, and the rabbi declares that the second man is the true heir, because Jewish tradition states that the saliva of a firstborn son of a father has the power to heal blindness. Just moments after being mockingly asked who his father is, Jesus heals a blind man with his saliva. It's as if he is saying, "You have questioned who my Father is. My Father is the source of all healing, and I am his firstborn son, and the rightful inheritor of his kingdom." This mysterious healing can only be understood within the context of Jesus' conflict with the Pharisees. The Pharisees accused Jesus of being a lawbreaker. They accused him of violating the Sabbath. They accused him of lying about his heritage and his identity. How does Jesus respond? He spits into the dust of the ground and forms a piece of clay to show that he is Lord of the Sabbath and that the mercy of God is greater than the traditions of men. And he places his saliva into the eyes of a blind man, healing his vision to prove that he is the firstborn son of his Father in heaven, that he is the great physician and the source of all healing and goodness. To our 21st century eyes, Jesus' actions are strange and perplexing, but to the Jews who witnessed it in its original context, Jesus had done nothing less than prove that he was the Son of God. Join me next time to learn more about Jesus from a Jewish perspective. And to learn more about Messianic Judaism, visit us on the web at cometojoy.org.
You've been listening to Pastor Jared Eaton of West Haven, and this has been Bread of Life, a daily devotional program produced by WIHS featuring pastors from throughout our listening area.